Need some dinners for the week? I got you covered. I have 6 easy, delicious meals for you to add to your meal plan this week. These are for everybody, but if you're following Weight Watchers, I will have the points along the way. The first meal I am starting off with is an easy one. I like to keep Mondays easy, so I'm putting together a sheet pan meal, but I'm getting some help with McCormick with their Farmer's Market sheet pan meal. In a bowl that's big enough to mix up chicken and some vegetables, I'm going to add 1 packet of this Farmer's Market chicken and vegetables. It's just seasonings. Oh, it smells so good. Looks like it has some dried onion in there, along with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now, if you're following Weight Watchers, you can count the olive oil. I'm using boneless, skinless chicken breast. You can use thighs or legs or whatever. I'm gonna mix the seasoning and the oil really good into the chicken. Now the packet says to mix the vegetables in too. I always have way too many vegetables. So I am not gonna worry about vegetables for this. I'm gonna season those separately. I decided to cut up my chicken into smaller pieces. Some of them were quite large and I know it'll take a lot longer to cook if I kept them whole. I went ahead and also rubbed the seasoning on each piece of chicken. I place it on a cookie sheet that I have nonstick aluminum foil on, and I'm going to set that aside. I have 2 zucchini. I have chopped those up. I also have 1 head of cauliflower and 1 head of broccoli. I've chopped those up as well. I have another cookie sheet with the nonstick aluminum foil, and I'm going to add all the vegetables to this pan. We need some color. This is just green and white. Just a second. Carrots, those will add color. I'm gonna put a few on here too. Then I have to find some seasonings. I have Mrs. Dash's. Look, it's sitting right out for me. Thanks, Mrs. Dash. That's what I'm gonna put all over those vegetables. This is gonna be delicious. I've decided to add a few potatoes to the pan with the chicken, and I'll just sprinkle some of that seasoning, the Mrs. Dash, on the potatoes as well. I don't know about you, but I come from a house of all boys, and my guys are meat and potato men. So if there's any kind of a potato with some meat, they're happy. This is gonna go in the oven on 400, probably for about 30 minutes or so. This was absolutely delicious. If you have not tried these seasonings, I am telling you right now, you need to try them. Jason raved about it. I actually went online and added 2 more to my cart because 1 packet just didn't seem to coat everything. That's why I added the Mrs. Dash, although that was really good too. But I'm gonna use 2 packets next time. If you're following Weight Watchers, you can count the olive oil. 2 teaspoons is 3 points. And if you make the potatoes for a half a cup, it's 2 points. This next meal, Jason requests it, and the poor guy, I think I've only made it 1 other time, so I need to start making this more often because it is so delicious. It is Mexican street corn chicken. This is the Mexican corn topping. So you can use fresh corn or frozen, but frozen has to be thawed out. I think mine's thawed out, so that sounds pretty much thawed out. But I need 1.5 cups of corn, 1 tablespoon of light sour cream, and 1 tablespoon of light mayonnaise. 1 teaspoon of lime juice, you can use fresh if you want to. A tablespoon or more or less of cilantro chopped. I have 1 ounce of crumbled queso fresco cheese. If you're measuring by grams, that is 28.3 grams equals 1 ounce. I Googled it. I'm gonna give this a really good stir, and then I'm gonna set this aside. The seasonings for the chicken, you need 2 teaspoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of paprika, half a teaspoon of sugar, half a teaspoon of ground cumin, a half a teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. It says a pinch of cayenne. I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit. Give this a good stir. So I seasoned the one side of the chicken. I cut mine in half. I'm just using boneless skinless chicken breast like I always do. And now I'm seasoning the other side of the chicken. Now all the instructions will be linked with this recipe along with the nutrition facts because I'm really and truly not following the instructions very good. There's a lot of different steps than what I'm doing, but it all equals out to the same. So I'm gonna let this chicken cook through and I'll show you my next step. Hi. Are you helping Mama? Are you helping Mama cook? He's sitting right underneath of the stove. Now that the chicken is cooked through, I'm gonna add the corn mixture that I had made up. I discovered this recipe through Emily Bites. The first time I made it, I followed the instructions to a T. This time I made it, I did not. I added all of the things that it called for, but I did mix up that corn with the chicken. It was still really super good. So either way works depending on if you're in a hurry and you want to just kind of have a one-pan meal and dump it all in, or if you want to cook the chicken separately, then the corn. If you're following Weight Watchers, this is a low point meal. For a 4th cup of the corn mixture, it is only 3 points. This is another one that my husband requested. It is chicken pot pie soup. In my soup pot, I have 1.5 cups of water and 4 cups of fat-free milk. Oof, I'm gonna be pouring this in slowly. I'm going to let this cook a little bit here. It needs to come up to a boil. I made a slurry. It's a 4th cup of flour with 1/2 cup of cold water. I cooked my chicken a little bit. You don't have to, plus I cut it up. You can also shred it if you want to. I also seasoned it with salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. You can use any kind of seasonings that you want. I'm adding a bag of frozen vegetables, some chopped onion, and chopped celery. 2 tablespoons of better than bouillon chicken flavor, a pinch of thyme, an 8-ounce package of mushrooms. Gonna add a little salt and pepper. I'm carefully adding 2 medium potatoes that I diced. I'm gonna let this cook together and get those potatoes all softened, probably about 15 minutes. All right, so this is just like a side thing if you wanna do this. My guys absolutely love these, so I'm making them for them. I took a sheet of puff pastry, thawed it out a little bit. I'm gonna cut it into almost like a crouton size. And then I'm just gonna bake them until they're nice and golden brown. And these added to the soup, oh my goodness. It's so, so, so good. Now I'm gonna add that slurry in here. It's gonna thicken up the soup perfectly. I'm gonna whisk it in really good. I'm gonna let this cook for a few more minutes and dinner should be ready to eat, which is good because I'm really hungry. Are you hungry?
I'm hungry.
Me too. I found this little treasure of a recipe in the Skinny Taste cookbook. It is a bowl full of comfort, and the croutons added to the top gives it the perfect finishing touch. For Weight Watcher points, you can get 1.5 cups of this soup for only 6 points. But if you add the croutons, those are going to be higher points. Just go by the nutrition facts on the back of the puff pastry box. My sister Cassie found this one and handed it over to me. I'm so glad she did. It is a marinated chicken. I have boneless, skinless chicken breast in a bag. You can use any kind of chicken. I'm starting off by adding a 1/4 cup of olive oil, a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of orange juice, 1 tablespoon of liquid smoke, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and a teaspoon of black pepper. You know it's gonna be a good marinade when you have a lot of things going into it. I'm gonna give this a really super good mix, and I'm gonna let this chicken soak in this marinade for the day. I'm grilling up the chicken, and I was gonna have baked potatoes with this tonight, and I completely forgot to put potatoes in the oven. And I don't have enough time to put them in the air fryer, so I think I'm just gonna serve a vegetable. And I also think I'm going to go ahead and count a point or 2 or whatever. I'm gonna figure it out through my app, because the sauce that's on the chicken, there is a little bit on there. They smell fantastic. This is definitely something you need to give a try. It is, I think the seasoning is gonna be amazing. We do have a side tonight. We are cheating, and we are going to Wendy's to get baked potatoes at Wendy's. I mean, why not? I looked it up in the app, and for 1 plain baked potato, it is 6 points. Can't beat it. And then I already have light sour cream here, so for 1 tablespoon is 1 point, and I think I'm good. If I add cheese, it'd be a sprinkle, but I don't think I'm going to. Oh, and for butter, I'll use spray butter. That's still a pretty low point meal. There's always one in the bunch that does not want to heat up and cook all the way through. So that is this guy. But it's ready, so I'm gonna get them all taken off, and we're gonna get ready to eat. Can it get any easier than marinating chicken? Not for me. This is perfect for grilling season. Oh, who am I kidding? It's perfect for any time of the year. This one, Justin requests a lot, but that's okay. It's all done in the crock pot. It's a roast meal. I have sprayed the insert of my crock pot and I have a roast over there. But for seasonings, I like to use this Snyder's prime rib and roast seasoning. This stuff is fantastic. I always put this on my roast and then rub it in really good, and then I'll place it in my crock pot and we'll build on that. I have 6 beef bouillon cubes that I put into my crock pot. Now I'm adding 3 cups of water. This helps make the gravy extra flavorful. I'm gonna layer in some chopped potatoes. Now I'm gonna add some onion that we, I don't know, kind of chopped up a little bit. What do you say? Left it in petals? Quartered? Now I'm gonna dump in a small bag of baby carrots. I'm gonna put some more seasoning over everything, and I'm gonna cook this on low and slow for the day. Look at that. Oh my goodness, it smells so good. I'm going to dip the juices out of here and start making a gravy. I do add a little bit of salt and pepper into the broth. I definitely don't need much more flavor because of the bouillon cubes and that seasoning. I just thicken it up with a slurry of cornstarch and water. I always relate roast to a Sunday dinner. Do you do that? I think it's because my mom would make a roast meal on a lot of Sundays because she could just stick it in the oven and it would cook while we were at church. But over the years, I've discovered I like it in the crock pot, so that's always how I cook mine. For half a cup of potatoes, it's 2 points. And I looked it up in the Weight Watcher app, and for 3 ounces of roast, it is 5 points. I found this recipe many years ago through the Paula Deen website, and it is chili. So far in my pan, I have 2 pounds of lean ground beef. You can use turkey if you would like. And I have some onion chopped up in there. To this, I'm adding 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 3 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 to 1.5 teaspoon of salt, 1.5 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 can of French onion soup. Give this a really quick stir before I continue adding all the goodies. 1 tablespoon of flour and a half a teaspoon of Tabasco sauce. I'm gonna put this on low, and this is going to barely simmer for about an hour. If you're in a hurry, you don't have to let it simmer for an hour. It turns out just fine. But if you do have that hour, 45 minutes, whatever you have, just adds extra flavor to the meat base. Now I'm adding in 2 cans of rinsed and drained beans and a 28-ounce can of chopped tomatoes. I'm gonna mix those in really good to the meat mixture, and I'm gonna let these cook for 20 minutes longer, and then the chili will be ready. Paula Deen has got a lot of different chili recipes out there, but the one that I specifically use, I will have it linked below. For Weight Watchers, 1 cup is 5 points. Now, I like to add a little bit of corn chips and a little bit of sour cream. Sometimes I like to sprinkle some fat-free cheddar cheese over the top. For 21 Fritos, it is 3 points. And for 1 tablespoon of light sour cream, it is 1 point. So for 7 points, I get a delicious bowl of chili. All the recipes are linked in the description. Don't stop watching now. Here are 2 more videos for you to enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.